to use every way possible to show people different ways of life, and theater is my vehicle of choice. Matthew Rising came to me when I was working on a project specifically focusing on chronic absenteeism and also the opioid crisis. And so I would go into the community, and at the time I was working with different groups and trying to bring awareness, and I could not help but think about how can I show this issue, or these many issues that are very interconnected. How can I show them in a way that will get people to think about the details and the nuances of what happens in everyday life.
So we had a really great experience with Matthew Rising because we got to do the show live at the Long Wharf Theater and have audience reaction to the piece. And we had a really great panel discussion of experts around opioid use afterwards, and it was a great experience. The people the show reaches are not only people involved in substance use or past substance use, but more particularly to the loved family and friends of people who have used. And I think that the more that we can reach people in the community to break open the stigma, talking about these things, and to really educate people around how easy it is, scarily easy, to die from a fentanyl overdose.
So Matthew Rising, I think the most memorable piece of it, and there was so much in this play, but was Matthew's trauma around his father's death, and Matthew's trauma around the fact that his father had a substance use disorder, that the stigma around that, the stigma in the family around that, the love for his dad, the loss, and then his own kind of search to how am I going to become whole? How am I going to grow up? How am I going to make my life different? And then getting caught up very naively in a world that he didn't realize the impact of.
We had several table readings of it and worked very closely with Clifford to make this happen, make sure we had accurate messaging, and that we really took care of the character development, making sure that I was writing characters that were very realistic, very real. These are characters from New Haven. And so I wanted to make it a present, modern day thing that wasn't preachy, didn't come across as you shouldn't do drugs, you know. It wanted to make it so that it would be a strong message, something that people can just kind of be a fly on the wall and see what happens behind closed doors.
Jazzy, You Were the Art on Magnolia Street is really a collection of stories, memories, observations of myself at a younger age, at the beginning of my use, how other people saw me, how I was looked at in a general sense by society at large, and also my own experiences as I was really fully engrossed in the life of using drugs, using heroin, how my life changed.
To have a writer among you is such a huge gift for a director as well as the actors, because you don't have to wonder about what the author meant. She's right there to tell us there. And we're there to interpret the work, sometimes in ways that Carol might not have even expected.
Once I stopped using and I started to kind of integrate into the world in a different way, that I wanted to give back. I wanted to give back in some way, to give purpose to the life that I had lived, and also use what I had lived as a way to help other people.
I think it's important for a lot of reasons. First of all, for people that don't perhaps experience these kinds of problems directly in their families, they tend to look at people that have issues as somehow lacking character, as somehow wrong, maybe even evil, weak, if you will, mostly because they don't understand. And I think when you get a really deep and informed and honest, authentic story of people who are going through this, you see it differently. So it allows people who have never experienced this or experienced it directly to really understand and empathize with people who are going through it.
Clifford Beers and Venture Soul have come together to create work about bringing together mental health, public health, and theater. And we're doing this virtually because we are in the middle of a pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic.
COVID-19 took theater away from us, essentially. It took the live theater experience away from us. So actors were able to sort of bring back that experience of theater by working virtually.
So people are overdosing from multi-substance use as well. And I think that COVID has exacerbated use because people are isolated, people are alone, people, I can think of experiences that I've had in my work. People have lost their jobs, they may have had a certain amount of time in remission from their substance use, they weren't using, they were working, they were doing well, and then all of a sudden your job is taken away, you're home, you don't have support around you, you are in the house and the use starts again because you're in pain, you're scared, you're worried.
You know, we have at least 2 pandemics on our hands right now. We have the COVID-19 and we also have finally a realization of racism and its really 400 plus year effect on our country. And at this point, we are going to have to call all hands on deck to be able to have public health education around how to live and how to survive after disaster, how to live and tolerate the grief that so many people have experienced, and the loss of a year plus of their lives.
I think we've proven how important art is in our lives and how important storytelling is to our lives. I can't imagine surviving this pandemic without Netflix. So I think if that is such a powerful medium, then you just click another tab and open up this particular piece, and it's just as accessible. And I think that kind of access to art has been one of the good things to come out of COVID. Usually in the past, you'd have to show up live to a theater, on a Tuesday night or a Friday night to see a piece of theater. Now you just have to click over another tab.
Well, theater is life. Theater is a reflection of life. When I've gone to theater or I've been part of theater projects, I always am amazed at what I see on stage that may be part of what I'm experiencing in my life, or I'm learning something about someone else's life or a different culture or a different tradition. And I think that we're visual. As people, we like to watch. I mean, especially now, we were just having a conversation before about social media and about the younger generation are always on their phones and they're always looking at things. And I think it's a perfect avenue for people to take in what's happening in the world around them in a way that they probably don't do when they sit down and read a textbook, or they have a person standing and doing a didactic information session about this is what heroin will do, this is how your brain operates, we need that too, but it's a perfect way to reach the masses and for people to be engaged in an experience happening in front of them that at the time they may not even realize what they walk away with afterwards.
I know that there have been theater companies and social service, public health, human service organizations that have partnered with theaters in the past. But I think now is a time to do more of that. I would like to see that be like a new standard, like a new something that is a go-to for human service organizations, that they make that a part of their world, that they incorporate this, because there's not just one way to learn something. There's not one way to appreciate something. If you can put it on stage, if you can put it on screen, you may really be doing the work. I think we all try our own ways to do the work, and we think we've got it down, maybe by doing a presentation or writing some sort of memo, but that may not be enough. You know, there's a lot of us who need to see something to really appreciate it, and so I think this is a great avenue that human services and social services can really take on and make a part of their culture.